Hey friends, great to see you. Thanks for joining us today. Randall here with Cooking Under Pressure. We're a YouTube channel bringing you recipes from all over the world, and today we are bringing you a little taste of Asia. We have Korean beef in lettuce wraps. This is a super easy recipe, very fast, tastiest probably Instapot recipe that I make. I love this one and I know you will love it too. Please, if you get a chance, click on the subscribe button if you haven't subscribed and hit our notification bell and we'll get you all of our updated videos. Now let's get to this awesome recipe. So let's get this awesome recipe started. We are going to start with 2 tablespoons of sesame oil. Throw in 2 tablespoons of ginger, fresh grated ginger. Oh, that already smells good. I have a Vidalia onion or a sweet onion, whatever you want to use, and cut it very thinly. You can see this has been cut nice and thin. We're going to throw that in, and we're on saute right now. Just going to mix this up. This is a really easy recipe. Korean beef and lettuce wraps. Fantastic, tasty recipe. Just mix that all up. Oh, the sesame oil smells so great right now. I like to use my Himalayan pink salt. I like to put that in on top of the onions. Just mix that up a little bit. This is a really easy, quick recipe. You can share this with your friends and family. You will look like a rock star, I promise you. And now we're going to put in our meat. Now, this meat has been marinating overnight. And I marinated it in Bulgogi sauce, which I will show you in a second. Now you can use any cut of meat, really the cheaper the better. You can do a chuck roast. This is a top blade, which is actually pretty tender, but it has a lot of grizzle in it, so you can't really use this as, I don't even like it as a flat iron steak. You could use brisket if you wanted to. But honestly, if you do Korean barbecue, say on a grill, you would always usually use ribeye. But in the Instapot, of course ribeye is a lot more expensive. In the Instapot, you can use this top blade, super tender, and of course the Instapot and the cooking process with the pressure makes it really tender. So I cut those pieces of meat in very thin strips, and as I said, I marinated them overnight. You can marinate them for a few hours or you don't have to marinate them at all. I marinated them in Korean barbecue sauce or bulgogi sauce. Bulgogi is usually the Korean beef that you get at a Korean restaurant, and the word bulgogi means fire meat. So in this case, we're just going to call it Korean beef lettuce wraps, but it could be called Korean barbecue. It could be called bulgogi in lettuce wraps. You'll hear a few different names. Now, if you've ever been to a Korean restaurant, you know that you can cook right on the grill. But in this case, this meat will tenderize. This little bit of tougher cut meat will tenderize super quick in the Instapot within 15 minutes. Now I just added a little white pepper, which is pretty popular in Asian cooking. And I've got some chives. These are actually dry chives. I like to add those as well. We picked these up in Atlanta. We were at a huge Korean market a couple of weeks ago in Atlanta called Mega Mart. And we picked up a lot of food, as you can see. And we've been eating Korean food for the last few weeks. My lovely wife is Korean, and she has many brothers and sisters, so I am blessed to eat some fantastic Korean food. So let's at this point add about 1 cup of the Korean barbecue sauce or the bulgogi sauce. And you can find this at any supermarket. Go to any Asian store. It is not spicy. Really, it's like Japanese teriyaki sauce, to be honest with you. It's got garlic in it, soy sauce, sugar. Very, very tasty. It's pretty sweet, but if you've ever had bulgogi or Korean beef at a restaurant, you know what I am talking about. It is more on the sweet sauce. What we'll do when we make these lettuce wraps, we'll spice them up a little bit with some kimchi and some gochujang spicy chili sauce. That will add a nice flavor to these lettuce wraps. And last but not least, you can use beef broth, but you know I love my miso ginger broth. It is back at Trader Joe's. I was able to find it. So probably you only need about half a cup to get the pressure up. And we're going to cook this for 15 minutes. Mix that up a little bit. You can see it already looks fantastic. What's nice is, like I said, the 15 minutes will really tenderize this top blade. You can use the cheapest cut of meat, like I said. You can also use beef stew meat, which is fairly cheap, but I saw it's actually gotten fairly expensive. This top blade was about 1.5 pounds I put in here. I think it cost me right around $8, which is, I think, extremely reasonable. And that's it. We're going to lock this up. Make sure your pressure valve is set to close. And we'll set this for 15 minutes and we will do a quick release. This is a really fast dish. So we'll turn off the saute button, hit manual, drop it down to 15 minutes, and this is just a quick 15-minute cook. Hey friends, it's time for our cocktail of the day. You didn't think I was going to do Korean beef lettuce wraps without a Korean beverage, did you? We have Height Extra Cold. Nothing like a Height Extra Cold lager beer to go with our awesome lettuce wraps. This beer, let me tell you a little trick. This is a little secret actually. When we were up in Atlanta, we went to the Mega Mart, which is basically a huge, it is honestly like a Costco for Korean food and Asian food. And a little trick is, if you go to Asian markets, you will find beers like Kirin Ichiban, Japanese beers, Asian beers, Tsingtao. You'll also find this Height beer. This was $5.99 a six-pack. Now, you know, here in the States, just a regular six-pack is costing you close to $10 now. So we have Height beer. It's a lager, super crisp. Oh, this will go perfect with these lettuce wraps. Height Extra Cold. Welcome back. It was only 5 minutes to get up to pressure. We cooked it for 15 minutes, and we're going to do a quick release right now. And then we will fill up these lettuce wraps with this awesome tasting tender beef, and we'll add a few yummy condiments. Pressure indicator has dropped. Let's open this up and take a look. Remember, always safety first. Use a towel or something to protect yourselves when you open this. Always open it up away from you. Oh, this smells incredible. Oh, does this smell great. Look at that perfect meat. Oh, super tender. Exactly what it should look like. Oh, I can already feel how tender it is. What I like to do is I add in about maybe half a cup of water with cornstarch, and I like to just thicken it up a little bit. You don't have to do this, but I love it when it's just a little bit thick because I like to pour this sauce over the meat. Sometimes we'll put this just on rice as well if you have any left over. If you want to just put it directly on rice, I did cook up some rice. As you know, I have a white rice video. If you want to check in the banner, you can link onto that white rice, make the white rice ahead of time, and you can see how that is thickening up. All right, let's make a lettuce wrap. I use red leaf lettuce. You can use romaine. It almost is like a little taco. It's like a little Korean taco. So just going to take a little bit of the meat. Remember, this is pretty hot. Take some of the onion and the meat and just put a little bit on the bottom. And then what I like to do is just add a little bit of white rice inside of this little Korean lettuce wrap. I also have what I call Korean ketchup. It's gochujang. It is a chili paste sauce that is so tasty. It's got a nice little bite. It's Korea's, I would say, #1 condiment. And then if you know anything about Korea, we've got some kimchi, some fermented cabbage. I'm going to put that right on top. Look at how gorgeous that lettuce wrap is. This was 20 minutes, folks. Really quick and super, super tasty, I can promise you. So we'll fold that up. So tender, so tasty. This was made in the Instapot. Now, if you've ever been to a Korean restaurant, as I said, if you have bulgogi, you'll be cooking it probably out on an open fire or a grill, sitting around with people. A really nice ribeye, expensive meat. Here you can take a really cheap cut of meat, put it in here, and it is extremely tender, very tasty, and you can get this in 20 minutes and have an international meal like a Korean beef lettuce wrap. This one is a winner, folks. You are going to love this one, I promise. And remember, folks, stay safe out there. Wear your mask, social distance, anything you can do to stay healthy. And as always, if you ain't cooking under pressure, you ain't cooking. We'll see you next time.